moving forward, but what we're doing in this period also, we're doing a pathology project where you guys, well, I want you to look up the word pathology and see this disease. Pathology is a disease. So when we're sick, we're having a pathology. And we're going to do a project on that where we have groups of 3 people working, and you guys in a group. So that's where in this week's module you see join a group. And that's what we're doing to this until Friday or so. And then if I want you to join a group until Friday. So what you do is you go to on the left side of Canvas, you go to people, the people tab. And then when you go into the people tab, inside there's groups. And one says Pathology Project. You click on that, and then you can put yourself into a group. And so if the groups are 3 people and you see which one's open, you put yourself in one. Or the thing with that is you can look at other students and look at their bio and say like, hey, I'd like to work with that person or something. They want to do the same thing I want to do, or I don't know. And so you can choose people, or people know each other, they can go in the same group. And so you choose a group. If you haven't chosen a group by Friday, I'll just put you in a group, assuming that you guys are not want to self-choose. And then once you're in that group of the 3 people, then you guys agree on a project, on a pathology, not on a project, on a pathology. What do you want to do? Want to do back pain? Want to do anxiety? Want to do asthma? All kind of heart disease or cancers, things that interest you. So you'll figure out in a group what is something that you can come up with that interests you. And then you do that next week. So this week we choose a group, the next week we choose a disease, and then inside, once we go into do research on that disease, I want you to look at 3 things. I want you to research what is the disease, what is back pain, what is heart disease, what is this? And you go to the internet, you go to .org.edu sites, or even start with Wikipedia, that's good too. I want you to use 5 sources, each student, and you pull information off from these sites and do some research. And I want you to do research on what is the pathology is one area of research. Then another area of research is what does the medical community do for this pathology? How is a medical treatment? And then the third area of research is what can I do as a self-help tool? How to help myself with this situation? Because medicine is very good, but it's often also not quite necessarily complete. So we can also help along, and the medical visit is often not long enough that the doctors have the time to talk about everything. And so what we do in the group of 3, once you decide for pathology, each person inside the group takes one of those questions, research topics. Either what is the disease, how does the medical community help it, and what else can I do to help it further along as a self-help? And then each person researches one of those 3 areas and does their own, collects their own data and makes a PowerPoint. And you can make the PowerPoint as a group. Most likely that's good. We do Google Share. If it's too complicated, we make it individual. We can figure that out individually, depending on what the tech level is of the individual group members, or the group themselves. And then we do a draft of a little PowerPoint, and ultimately we make a Zoom presentation of about 2 to 3 minutes talking per person. So very short, nothing long. I want you to grab the essences out of what we're talking about and explain. Basically, the idea is at the end of the day, you explain to your students, to your peers, about what is you inform them about something that is good to know, like some pathology. Like for example, I had a lady who missed the test because she had to bring the kid to the ER with asthma. And that's actually how it started. And I asked her, so what did the doctor say? It's like, oh, give me an inhaler. And I'm like, did they talk to you about, the pollution? Did they talk to you about milk and carbohydrate, all the stuff that creates phlegm that makes the asthma worse? No, they didn't talk about any of that. Like, oh, there's some need to bridge the gap. Because, that's very important. And so that's how it kind of was born, to create groups and then have sort of an information exchange where everybody's a little expert in one topic and can share. And so I wanted to look at it from that perspective and not from, oh my Lord, this is a crazy project, it's really hard to do. Most of the time, people have a lot of fun once they're starting, because I hold your hand along the way. And so I'm also wanting to do this project that I can help you, at least with my limited knowledge of how to do presentations, help you make a presentation and get feedback and get tips and so forth, because in college you got to do presentations. That's one of the things you got to do in life with these things over here. It's a little different in other parts of the world, but in America, presentations are pretty strong, and paper writing and stuff like that, which I think is good. It's a very good skill to have, I think. And so that's and so then when in terms of the timeline, how we do that. Oops, where's my other paper? We're first this week you do a group. Next week you research what topic you want to talk about, and then you also decide who is going to do which area of research. And then what you do is you run that by me, and I okay that, or I help you refine that a little bit, depending on if sometimes it's very broad. We bring it a little closer, so it's not that hard to research or so. And then you go and do some research amongst each other, or no, you with yourself on the internet, but also talk to your group members, because you want to create a PowerPoint out of that research. I usually start myself with grabbing text and some cool images, which you've learned in how to grab images from the internet. We had a thing on that. And then I start making a draft, and then I sleep on it. Then I come back and I look at it and go like, oh my God, that looks horrible. And then I redo it, and then so you do that once or twice, and then you ship it over to me, and then I look at it, and then I most likely will say, put more pictures in. Idea, because it's easier to explain something on pictures, and you go do that by thinking yourself, oh, if I explain this to my child, how would I do that? And then pictures come in very fast, as a tool to do that. And then so you do that for a couple of weeks. We get a draft, then you ship it back, you refine it, and then 2 more weeks we have to then make a video presentation. I can give you tutorials and help you along how to do that. These days with Zoom, it's usually the easiest, because you can record the Zoom sessions, and everybody can be on the Zoom, no matter where they are. And then at the last thing we do is we look at each other's presentations, and we learn from each other. We do that in a discussion form. Everything is online from that perspective, but we can in here also do a little bit of stuff, so I can help you while we're here. But then at the end, we do a discussion forum. We watch each other's thing, and we learn, and we also critique each other. We do a little feedback giving, so we can learn from the project as well that way. Anyway, that's my big pathology project.
It is big.
I know. I know. You should have seen me. You should see me in the spring semester. I was doing feedback, and all of a sudden I was like, God, I worked on this one for 2 hours and 3 hours, and I'm like, I have 50 students. I'm like, I can't do that. I gotta be a little better organized. Yeah, it is a lot, but it's also, try to be go with the flow of playful, investigative kind of thing. And generally people get into it. And that's it. Any questions to that, or is that as an outline fairly okay and clear?
Yes, I'll get it.
I know, it's as clear as mud, isn't it?
Yes.
Well,